Welcome to Mainland Television Regional News. I'm Graham O'Brien, and today's news: Tasman Mayor talks about coastal erosion issues, Council's wood burner stance heats up, and more. A meeting held this week in Nelson over wood burners was well attended by the public, with over 60 people present who were there to show their concerns about keeping warm as winter fast approaches. Many voiced their strong opinions about the strict rules that stop them from upgrading their wood burner after missing the cut-off date. Others spoke of still being unable to heat their homes after insulating floors, walls and ceilings in older houses. A fine of $700 being issued to one for using a wood burner that was not compliant, drawing cries of disbelief from those attending. Others called for Nelson to ignore unrealistic central government standards, and it was pointed out that Nelson is the only council in the country not letting people upgrade to compliant burners. The issue was raised concerning the Wood Burner Working Party not having a public consultation process as per the rules. Mayor Rees took the stage and stated that she was not happy with the timeline given by administration of 2 years, all going well, which would mean another 3 winters for the people of Nelson, and wants it done in a year. Along with Mayor Rees, Councillor Barker, Skinner, McGurk and Ackland were the only councillors who attended the meeting.
So there's some improvements. Actually, they look at the grammage on the fire. I mean, in effect, there's improvements can be made in construction, the way air exits the flue systems. That can be all changed, like eco flue kits, opti kits, and so forth. So we find that all that can improve the burning less fuel. Yeah, so that's what we say. But I'll make some comments for the council on this and get it into them.
And it's fantastic, Penny and Five Faces. My mate's got one and I'm very jealous.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, there's a lot of people being in and disappointed that they can't have one, but maybe that's going to change. So.
Emission burners, but the price of those is very high. But I am having just some discussions around whether there is an opportunity for us to get that technology through faster than the full plan review.
Because once those that technology goes through, that'll bring the price down, because those ones that they're talking about there are like industrial models, do everything, so we just need one to heat our homes.
Yeah, look, it's all supply and demand, and you heard them talk tonight about the fact that they've put one container load through. Well, if they've got more to supply, the price should adjust accordingly. What I'm interested in is if they, and this was a discussion here tonight, was that if they're putting out fewer, less emissions than a pellet burner, then the question is why wouldn't you allow it? And now what we've got to do is find a way that if that's the case, where we can seek maybe leave of the court, which I think is where we're going to have to go to get them through. I've tried every way of adapting the Resource Management Act to give people choice at the moment. I haven't given up.
Cyclone Pam has come and gone, and fortunately seems to have had a minimal effect on our region, leaving those with coastal properties sighing in relief. On the weekend, Chrissy Small spoke to 2 Golden Bay residents at the Pakawa Coastal Township who have been concerned with the way processes for property protection with council seem to be insufficient. Chrissy caught up with Mayor Kempthorne about these erosion issues that's got these other Pakawa residents concerned.
I'm here at Tasman District Council with Mayor Richard Kempthorne. We're going to discuss a few issues today, particularly the issue of erosion in Golden Bay. Now, Richard, I've been over to Golden Bay, to Pakawa Beach in particular, and I've seen some of the erosion problems that they've been having. I've spoken with 2 landowners there who are affected. Landon Carter, of course, has the Pakawa Motor Camp, and Laurie Jarrett, who is, of course, quite a vocal opponent to the push-up that council have done there. What do you say about the concerns? I know that there's been a big, expensive process for Landon in ensuring that his erosion problems don't keep occurring. To go to the Environment Court to fight council, I believe there were also residents who were not happy about that wall.
Yeah, and I think perhaps in fairness, rather than saying fighting council, it was a consent process. And so when you have a consent process, you have people that are submitting both for and against, and there was quite a division amongst the community and with the council about what was the best process. But that's all gone through, and that's come to a conclusion. I think one of the things it shows you is that when you're in the coastal margin, and when you're talking about what are the right mechanisms to deal with erosion issues, there are various options, and it does get very controversial, and different people have different views. I think the reality is that in Pakawa, I understand, and I went out and met with the residents just after the big lot of sand loss that occurred. And I can completely understand, they took us down and showed us their properties, and so I can completely understand their concern about how the erosion that's coming in is actually getting closer to their houses. But as a result of that, what the council did is council staff and an external consultant came in who's qualified in the coastal margin, talked with the residents about what the options were, whether it's a wall or whether it's a sand push-up, and ended up settling on the sand push-up for now, and saying that when it gets to a certain stage, certainly a rock wall would need to be looked at. Making it clear also that the council from now on, we are much more constrained in what we can financially commit to council doing, and so made it clear that if there was to be a rock wall, that would be at a cost of the residents concerned who would benefit from it, and that council would help as much as it could, but the cost of the wall and the consent process would be up to them. And I think they're welcome to come in with a resource consent application if they want to, but in the meantime, had a external consultant come in, have done the push-up. It'll be good to see over time, over the months, what happens, how well that works, and what's going to come. I think the council staff made it clear that in the council's Esplanade Reserve, where a rock wall could be and where it couldn't be, going on to council property or public land that is designed to be used by everybody. So it's a certain measure's been taken to date, and we'll see what happens over the next month or two, and then continue to re-look at it. Fair to say also that at Parapara had exactly the same issue with the same storm. A road in front of houses got washed out, exposed some of the core infrastructure over there, and the sand push-up has been done there. And my understanding is that by far the majority of people are reasonably happy with that outcome and how that's looking at this stage. But you know, when we have a high tide and we have the winds that blow in on those beaches, that's the time that a lot of damage can occur, and it is pretty scary for the property owners.
Now, Richard, the sand push-up, I think Laurie Jarrett said that it came to about $250 per section. Of course, the rock wall is going to cost a lot more, but he said that the residents are willing to be paying for their own rock walls. All they have to do now is come and get the consent for that. Is that correct?
They certainly would need to go through a consent process. What would happen if they did is you have to look at the whole beachfront that would be affected, because if you put a rock wall, then there will be an impact on the adjoining property where there's not a rock wall. Some of the people, my understanding is, and I haven't talked to them lately, but that some people are comfortable with the push-up and some would like a rock wall. So you would end up getting into a discussion about where the wall would be, who's prepared to pay for it and who's not, and where you would stop and what you would do at the end of it. So certainly they are open to a consent process if they wish.
All right, well, I guess we'll be watching with further developments on what's going to happen at Packwall, because there is erosion. Having gone down there on the weekend, there's some serious erosion problems, and I can see why they have their concerns.
Yep.
They're worried about the reserve land. They're told once the reserve land goes, then they can put their rock walls up. That's what they've been informed. But they're saying, why not save the reserve as well? Why can't they just do that?
I think if you were to save the reserve land as well and put rock wall in front of it, I don't think there is a desire from council to do that. So the council's saying...
Is that a cost reason?
Yeah, absolutely.
But if the residents behind the reserve want to pay for that?
No, yeah, but I'm not sure that discussion has occurred.
Okay.
And I think the council reserve staff were quite clear in saying they weren't really interested in a rock wall for the reserve, but so this is up to property owners. The other thing to realise is that in the district, as you can imagine, there is quite a bit of the district where there are residences which are potentially going to be impacted by coastal erosion. I think the reality is this is a real big issue for us going forward. It's not the only place we're going to see it. We're seeing it there right now, but that was because of the wind direction, and that coast and those properties are very exposed. But there are other parts of the district also that potentially will be impacted by coastal erosion, and I think the reality is it's something we are going to be observing. Rock walls are going to be an option for people, and it's simply a question of How do you do it? It will be a complex process. There will need to be very competent engineers involved to ensure that it's designed properly and does what's expected and doesn't cause adverse effects, because rock walls can. But that's certainly going to be a reality for people protecting their properties and for council protecting public land.
Of course, there have been new laws, particularly around areas like Mapua, where there are low-lying areas close to the sea that people would like to see developed. Now council's basically put a stop to that. Is this because of the rising sea water level?
Absolutely, that's exactly why. And also listening to the Minister for the Environment, Nick Smith, looking after coastal hazards and hazards of properties is something that, in his opinion and the government's opinion, councils need to be taking more focus on. So I think the reality is this is life in our space from now on, both for the council as a regulator, but also for us supporting our community in protecting their properties.
Right.
The Chan Rakirti Meditation Centre in Moutere played host in Nelson to a precious relic over the weekend, with a special service to welcome the relic into Club Italia, where it remained open for public viewing over 3 days. The relic is currently on a world tour called Maitreya Loving Kindness Tour, which offers people an opportunity to see this exhibition of ancient and sacred relics from the historical Buddha Shakyamuni and of other great Buddhist masters from India, Tibet and China. The relic's precious stones are what has been said to be remnants of these great teachers and masters whom, when they die, leave behind these crystals. More than 2 million visitors have seen these relics worldwide, and this was the second time that Nelson has played host to this precious Buddhist relic exhibition. The Brook Waimarama Sanctuary is hosting an open day this month, offering an opportunity for those folks who have never been to go and see the projects they have undertaken. I caught up with the sanctuary's manager, Hudson Dodd, to see what highlights people can expect on the day. Hudson, great to see you again. We see that you've got the open day this time. Its build has been open, rain or shine. I know, unfortunately, last time you had a cyclone, but no one can prepare for that. Can you just tell us a little bit about what's going on and what's on offer this time?
Yeah, great to see you, Graham. So our open day is a chance for the community to come up and see the sanctuary and learn about the project, learn about the importance of protecting the native wildlife and bringing it back for people to enjoy and see the progress and see where we've gotten to with the project. So encourage everyone to come up. It's on Sunday, the 22nd of March. 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. There's a free bus running from Wakatu Square, sponsored by Nelson Coach Lines. So please come up on the free bus. And we've got a couple great features for families and kids. We've got Ruud Kleinpest, the Bug Man, coming. He's always a hit. And so he'll be giving a talk at 12 o'clock midday. And then in the afternoon, he'll be leading walks in the beautiful native bush of the Brook Sanctuary for kids and families. So that's fun. And another fun feature is there will be a live kiwi or two. One of the rarest species of kiwi, actually, the Rowie kiwi from Okarito on the west coast. So the Department of Conservation will be bringing them along, and so it'll be a chance to actually interact with a live kiwi. That's just a couple of the fun features that are going on that day. Lots of family activities. There's electric fishing, actually, electric fishing demonstration in the brook stream at 11 a.m. And then in the afternoon, we'll also be offering interpretive walks of our fantastic track system, so you can see more of the sanctuary.
And that's fantastic. And am I right in understanding that this kiwi is the one that you aim to introduce into the Brook Sanctuary once it's all up and finished?
Yeah, that's right. So once the fence is up and the pests have been eradicated, the plan is then for, over the years, to reintroduce the native wildlife that have vanished from the area. And one of the first that we're hoping to reintroduce is kiwi, and the species that we are targeting for that is the Rowie kiwi.
That'd be great to be able to have that so close to home and bring that back into the area. How about your fundraising? Have you got any other fundraisers leading up to this event?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, as long as Ruud Kleinpest is coming to town for the open day to be the Bug Man, he's kindly offered to give a talk, a speaking engagement that's a fundraiser for the Brook Sanctuary. So that's on the night before, Saturday, the 21st of March. 7 p.m. at NMIT's Media Arts Building. G block, they call it. And so that's $30 in advance or $40 at the door. All the proceeds go to support the Brooks Sanctuary. And so you can get your tickets in advance by contacting our office at 546-2422 or stopping in to see us at our Morrison Square location.
Thanks very much for that, Hudson, and all good luck, and we'll keep our fingers crossed for no cyclones and nice weather this time.
Yeah, that's right. The event will go ahead, rain or shine, except in the case of high winds where we need to protect the public safety. But otherwise, hope everyone will come out and see us on Sunday the 22nd.
Thanks very much. The sound of bagpipes resounded around Nelson last Saturday with the Royal New Zealand Pipe Band Championships for the third time in Nelson since they first began in 1926. Once again, Nelson showed what can be done in a city and the depth of talent amongst its residents, with the Celtic Pipe Band of Stoke organising the event and taking out their grade, and coming second in the Street March event. Band President Bryce Gilchrist said that the club's committee had been working for the last 2 years to make it happen, and 45 bands took part. It was a highlight for the bands to be able to march down the main street of a city, which took quite a bit to organise. After the break, we'll bring you the latest weather update and some events and happenings coming up from around the region. Spectacular road safety demonstrations complete with fast cars, cut-out figures and fake blood are being held in local neighbourhoods across Nelson City to help slow down drivers. The series of neighbourhood park gatherings are being held in the evenings, and residents are encouraged to come along with a picnic tea and enjoy the demonstrations. Supported by the Nelson City Council, these demonstrations will show how far a car will travel with and without ABS braking at different speeds when the driver brakes. They will also bring home to drivers the consequences of speed in a built-up area, and to children the dangers of stepping out in front of a moving vehicle. In addition, there will be displays from citizens' advice, emergency management, neighbourhood support, and 2 interactive displays demonstrating blind spots for reversing drivers and how difficult it is for a truck driver to see cyclists. Some roads will be closed for these demonstrations from 5:30 to 7:30 p.m. Check with the council for more information. Tipper High Street between Tukaka Street and Motueka Street on Thursday the 19th, and the picnic is at Nelson Intermediate Lawn. Edify Crescent from North intersection with State Highway 6 to Rainbow Drive on Friday the 20th, and the picnic is at Corder Park.
I'm Francis from Nelson Auto Glass. We repair all auto glass, stone chips, windscreen replacements, scratch removal.
If you have an auto glass issue, our team will sort it.
Nelson Auto Glass Specialists, 84 Vanguard Street, Nelson.
The Mai Tai quiz is set on the new section of the Mai Tai Walkway, and you can do it as a fun Easter holiday activity with the whole family and be in to win a prize by matching the native plants to the numbered locations. This runs through till the 17th of April. For more information, please go to the link below. The exhibition of contemporary visual artworks titled But I Can't Wash It Off, etc. by local artists at the Refinery Art Space, created by Nick Haig, goes through to the 28th of March, every day except Sundays. In the temporary Suter Art Gallery at 28 Halifax Street, the exhibition Min Kisi, Art and Belief in West and Central Africa, a presentation of masks and statues from Western Central Africa delivering messages about culture, traditions, histories and beliefs. It is running until the 12th of April. On behalf of the team here at Mainland Television News, thank you for joining us, and we'll bring you the latest news and events from around the region again tomorrow.
Supporting local content so you can see more of New Zealand on air.
Hi everyone, I'm Gary Watson. I'd like to welcome today to Nelson Malcolm Harris. Last year New Zealand on Air employed Colmar Brunton to do a survey to find out if all the regional stations were going to continue to get their funding for news. The regional stations all came up very well in the survey, including Mainland, and as a result we got more funding for our news to continue. In the process of that, Malcolm and Tony from Christchurch saw the survey results and thought these were quite outstanding and approached us, and now the facilitators in Christchurch are looking after ourselves. So today I'd like to have a talk with Malcolm about that, Malcolm Harris, but there is also a big story about CTV which we'll come to in a moment. Welcome to Nelson.
Thanks, Gary.
You've been out and about talking to our customers.
Been out and about and preaching the good word.
And people all on board.
All on board, of course. It was very much so, and you know, fantastic result from Colmar Brunton. Not forgetting, of course, that it wasn't commissioned by Mainland Television.
No.
It was commissioned by New Zealand On Air to obviously for allocation of funding.
Yeah.
And so the results of that came out, and Mainland Television came out very well.
Yeah, we did. And it was a big surprise to us of how many people were actually watching.
Yeah.
And a lot of the radio stations and other media that are going around with surveys, they've actually paid for it.
That's right.
So you've got to kind of say, well, you know, but this is totally independent. This is New Zealand On Air.
Correct.
Funds it to see whether we get funding. And then because they approved our funding quite quick, we actually said, oh, that's great, thank you very much, and great to continue working with you folks. And asked for a copy of the survey, and we were pleasantly surprised. So it's all gone to from there, isn't it?
Absolutely. And you know, one of the good things is that from an advertiser's perspective, there is now something tangible that they can actually hang their hat off as far as audience is concerned.
Yes.
Because I mean, you know, the national television channels have constant surveys, and you know, they can afford to do so. But regional television doesn't tend to have surveys too often, and so it's a bit of hit and miss as to who's watching.
Yes.
Now we've got something that's you know, completely tangible that we can use insofar as numbers of people watching, where they watch, and how long they watch, etc.
And the point of difference, of course, is that when you have a television commercial, that commercial, the soundtrack is also broadcast on FM radio. Can go out on Sky nationwide. So if you're a business in Nelson where you are selling to all of New Zealand, then there is a wonderful opportunity there. Plus it goes online, goes onto our website, goes onto YouTube every day, and Facebook and social media, and God knows where else it goes.
Covers all bases.
But it all starts from that one advert.
Yep.
That then goes everywhere. And we're one of the few companies, the only ones we know in New Zealand, that are actually offering that service.
Absolutely. And of course television covers all the emotions. You know, you've got visual, you've got the audio, you know, it's moving pictures, and you know, people, you know, can actually get really involved in the commercial because it is moving, you know.
Yes, exactly.
It's not still, and it's not just audio as you get with print and radio.
Well, it's worked so well for our customers over the years, and many of you probably see the same ads on year in, year out, and that's because it works so well for these folks. So I guess that's a testimony, really, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Of how well it works.
And you know, the other thing is, of course, that it's reasonably priced. You know, it's not priced. When people think television, they think expense.
Yep.
It's not that at all. And you know, it's quite accessible to small to medium businesses as well as large businesses as well. And you're getting to your region. You know, people in your region, and that's the key thing.
And it's the electronic media is where the future is, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely.
You know, and we know that. Now, just moving on from that, if you are in business or you would like to get a message out to the entire community, give Malcolm a call, and the information's on the screen. and he'll look after you there fine. Now, Malcolm, you used to be the sales manager for CTV in Christchurch.
I did indeed, yes, and very fortunate to still be with us today, really, in lots of respects. I started there back in the beginning of 2010, and of course went through the February 22nd earthquake as well. Fortunately, not in the building. I was only 10 minutes out of the building, so I was actually. It's an interesting story there. My wife worked for the QE2 swimming complex, aqua complex, and she had to actually jump in the pool earlier that morning to help some gentleman out who was in a bit of distress. And so she rang me and said, are you coming home for lunch? And I said, well, no, I'm not actually, as a matter of fact. But she said, can you come home and bring some, dry clothing over to the pool? We just lived across the road from the pool, you got to understand. So she could have walked across the road and got it herself. So anyway, I said, yeah, well, okay, well, I will, but I've got a window of about a half an hour, and so I left the building at 20 to 1. And so, as everyone knows, at 12:51 was when the earthquake struck. So, yeah,
that's only minutes.
Only minutes. Yeah, very. I was only just within about 2 k's away from the building at the time.
Your wife saved your life.
Well, that's right. I'm probably going to be forever indebted to her, really, and she does remind me on the odd occasion as well. But it's very true. I mean, we lost 16 very good people in that building that day. Ourselves, of course, a number of others as well in the building, but from our own business. There was people fortunately out filming for varying things. One was making a country program.
Was that Rob Cope
Williams? Rob Cope Williams making
nice guy, isn't he?
Rob's Country, which some people may see on television, and there are other cameramen and news reporters out at Hagley Park covering the Ellesmere, the Ellerslie Garden Show. And a couple on leave. There was a couple that were across the road at a cafeteria picking up some lunch. There was one of our scheduled ladies was next door at the Lees Mills gym doing some exercise, and so she watched the building collapse from there. So people doing different things, but just fortunate to be out of the building at that time.
Was it Mary Ann's the only one got out?
And Mary Ann, our receptionist, was the only one of our staff that actually got out alive. And the reason for that, and once again, it's just so fortunate, is that someone had left the door open. It was a coldish day that day, and someone had left the door open. She came out from behind her reception desk to shut the door at the precise time that the earthquake struck, and so she was actually at the door already. Had she not have been at the door, I doubt whether she would have been able to get out.
And you were at the anniversary, the 4th anniversary last week?
Yes, so last Sunday we had the 4th anniversary, and we always celebrate that anniversary, and if it celebrates the right word, and remember those of our staff members that are no longer with us. We do that at the site, and of course that site's also visited by people who knew the other people in the building, and excuse me, the Japanese consulate came down in the morning, and they remembered their colleagues that passed away, and laid wreaths as well. And at 2 o'clock last Sunday, we had a memorial service for our staff. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And many of you may remember that on mainland we used to run many programs. Jo Giles, she used to run a real estate program and other programs. And of course our good friend Murray, he unfortunately was a casualty, and Joe and a lot of others there. Yeah. Lovely people. We used to go and have lunch with them, and knew them, sort of on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, it's one of those things, and it's often said, you don't know when you go to work in the morning that you may not come home. I mean, it's just I feel very fortunate, but I guess you can't dwell on the fact that it could have been you. I mean, it's just one of those things.
Life carries on.
Life carries on, unfortunately. Yeah. But people say that time heals, and you need to move on, and in some respects, I do agree with that. Yeah. But we've, as the remaining 12 staff members, we've made a pact that the 22nd of February is always going to be a day of remembrance for us, anyway. Yeah.
Well, we were delighted to hear from you and Tony, and delighted that you're now part of the team here and looking after the sales, and we look forward to a very long and fruitful relationship.
Thanks, Gary, and I look forward to catching up with these clients, your clients and ours now over the next months.
You're right. So that is Malcolm Harris, and he's from the Facilitators in Christchurch.